Blogging. This is a topic that needs no introduction. But what about creating an academic blog to communicate the results of your research? I hope to give you some things to think about and some resources and tutorials here in this presentation. We are near the end of the course, and at this point, all the assignments are getting shorter. We're taking the same topic and repurposing it for a different audience in a shorter, more digestible format. So what is an academic blog? People blog for a lot of different reasons. Some people want to put their personal thoughts out there and keep a journal in blogging. Some people just want to be social. Other people start blogs to earn money and run a business. What about an academic blog? This is a place where you can contribute to the public discourse on a particular issue or problem. It's a way for you to communicate the research you've done to a layperson audience. Now, I would be careful here in saying layperson because it's not necessarily people with no knowledge about your topic. You will have a range of readers, and it's important to write it in such a way that even the person with limited knowledge can understand what you're talking about. But there are plenty of experts who also read blogs just because they don't have the time to dive into the literature, or they're looking for a quick answer on a certain topic. So you have to be mindful that there will be both types of readers. A blog is also a platform to engage with your audience, and it's a place where you can really establish yourself and find your voice as an intellectual. But you may say, I'm not a blogger. Well, how can you take what you're already doing and reproduce it in a way that reaches more people? So think about all the times that you've prepped for a class or given a presentation or written a paper, and how all those documents are just sitting on your hard drive collecting dust. Well, blogging is a way for you to resurrect those, dust them off, and put them to good use out in cyberspace. And you need to think about who's your audience. Who needs to know what you know? And who's struggling with some of the same problems and issues that you're writing about? So if you form that vision of the ideal person as you write, you'll have a much clearer destination in mind for your writing. Creating a blog is all about engaging your audience. So here's a couple tips on how to write engaging content. You want to be crystal clear about what you've said and then restate it throughout your post. Try to connect it to larger problems or issues going on. Make sure you summarize your research, and then invite your audience to learn more and include some links or resources for them to continue on. So I'm going to show you an example of a successful blog from last year's class. She did her blog on mentoring at the university level, and from the title you can clearly tell what the problem is she's talking about and who the audience is. Then in the body of the blog, she has shorter paragraphs, short sentences, and an opening that engages her audience by talking about the problems that they're thinking about. She also has some links that she embedded in the text, which is not required to put in, but I think it helps with the engagement. And then the design is clean, simple, and focuses on the content. So before we get into how to create a blog, I just want to spend a minute on readability, because this is so important in thinking about online publishing. The average user will only read about 20% of the words on your page on a website. This is the unfortunate reality of the online world. And I think we know that, but it helps to keep that in mind as we write our blogs. And of those views, they are most highly concentrated on the first page, 57%. So before any scrolling happens, 57% of people are only staying on the first page, with diminishing returns after that. So people are scanning and they're moving around with their eyes, and it's hard to keep people focused on reading your text word for word. So I just want you to keep that in mind as we go into the design. So here's some tools that are particularly helpful for readability. You're familiar with Grammarly and some of the things that Microsoft Word does. I was interested to learn that Microsoft Word has some readability tools that you can unlock, and that it will give you data on the readability of your text in real time. And there's also websites where you can go and paste your content in. I have an example of one of those websites next. It's called HemingwayApp.com. So here's a little video that demonstrates it.
If you go to HemingwayApp.com, and right on the front page, you can cut and paste your text into this box, and it will give you some feedback. So I'm going to highlight this and paste in the paragraph from the syllabus that talks about this assignment and see how we did. Over here on the right, it tells us what grade level this is written at. So grade 7, which is good, I suppose. And then it takes somebody 24 seconds to read this paragraph. 0 adverbs, a couple of uses of passive voice, which are flagged here, and 2 or 3 sentences that are hard or very hard to read, which I wouldn't have looked at closely unless I had that feedback. So this is a great spot. Once you have your blog written up, you can come paste it here and get some real-time feedback on how readable it is. If you go to
Okay, so how to create a blog. There's many blog platforms out there. I've selected 6 or 7 of the largest and the ones that are free and most trafficked. So you have WordPress, Weebly, Wix, Blogger, Medium, LinkedIn, etc. A couple notes on these. WordPress is not the same as WordPress.org. The .com version is where you get the free blog hosting. Medium, if you go that route, it has a unique model where you have a built-in audience, which is the benefit, but it's a little more difficult to get an external audience outside of your Medium users. And then finally, LinkedIn could be a great option for you, but note that not everybody has access to publish on LinkedIn. I don't know how they determine who does and who doesn't, but you have to have editing ability granted to you by LinkedIn to use that feature. So you're welcome to use any site for this assignment. And if you stick around at the end of this presentation, I do a little tutorial on Weebly on how to create a website there, which is pretty easy and straightforward. Here's a couple extra resources for creating good blogs, particularly for higher ed. This second one is linked to on the Blackboard site. And that's it for this presentation. Good luck, and email me if you have any questions. about any of the resources here. And if you stick around after this, there's about a 2-minute presentation on how to create a Weebly website.
Okay, so I'm going to show how to create a blog on Weebly. I went to Weebly.com. I logged in using my email. Then it asks me what kind of website I want to make. I just need a website here, not with the online store. Then it takes me to the interface, and there's some templates I can choose from over here on blog. Template like this is nice and simple. That's what some of the examples use. This is also clean and simple, or if you want a little more aesthetic, you can go with the photo like this. There's even more down here. So let's just choose this one. This is a preview. Go to start editing. It'll ask you for your domain name. Now remember, if you want an actual domain without the Weebly in it, you have to pay for that. So let's see about developing leaders for higher ed. Search. Okay. Yeah, up here are the professional domains, but down here are the subdomains that are free. You don't have to pay for. So I'll pick that one. I have a domain name. It's .weebly.com. And then I can start building. And this is a very easy interface, just like WordPress or some of the other sites where you can drag and drop. You can change and upload pictures, upload a file from your computer. Edit the text, add modules, and so forth. So once you're done, you hit publish, you'll get the link, and you can go from there.